We ought to be allowing the private sector to pursue every form of energy, because the energy of the future, it's not going to come from the government picking winners and losers. We ought to open up energy innovation across the board and remove the barriers to every form of energy.
Do you believe climate change is real?
You know, I'm always troubled by a theory that fits every perfect situation. You know, back in the 70s, I remember the 70s, we were told there was global cooling. And everyone was told global cooling was a really big problem, and then that faded. And then we were told by Al Gore and others there was global warming, and that was going to be a big problem. And then it morphed. It wasn't global warming anymore. It became climate change. And the problem with climate change is there's never been a day in the history of the world in which the climate is not changing.
So you don't believe that there is any man-made reason for global warming or climate change?
What I think is the data are not supporting what the advocates are arguing. The last 15 years, there has been no recorded warming. Contrary to all the theories that they are expounding, there should have been warming over the last 15 years. It hasn't happened. They don't have an explanation for that. And I think beyond that.
So the idea that the Arctic is going down, that it is melting.
But other parts are going up. It is not. You know, you always have to be worried about something that is considered a so-called scientific theory that fits every scenario. Climate change, as they've defined it, can never be disproved, because whether it gets hotter, whether it gets colder, whatever happens, they'll say, well, it's changing, so it proves our theory.
Secretary Kerry recently said that of climate change, it's perhaps the world's most fearsome weapon of mass destruction. Sounds like you don't agree with that.
Well, you know, it is ironic that Secretary Kerry would say that, given that he is right now in the process of negotiating with the nation of Iran in what Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called an historically bad deal. It is ironic that he sees a greater threat from your SUV in your driveway than he does from the nation of Iran with their radical Islamic jihad and their stated desire to obliterate, to annihilate Israel. He sees a greater threat from your SUV